Welcome, everybody, to the December 8th Planning, Energy, and Environmental Quality Committee meeting. Pardon me. For those folks, Crystal and John, feel free to get some snacks. We have a lot of food over there still left, so thanks everybody for coming to, which I think might be starting the annual pre-peak pizza party. So thanks everybody for coming to that. And so first what we'll do is we'll start, let's see, do we have all the, yep, we have all the members here. Do we have any public comment, Taylor? No. Okay. Any changes to the agenda that anybody wanted to propose? All right, so we'll go to packet page 2 to review the minutes. Would anybody like to move the minutes? And they're from November 10th. Amanda, and then Veronica is second. Any discussion? Taylor, thank you for doing these and all the other minutes that you've done for us. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand for the minutes. Okay, that's unanimous. Thanks, everybody. And we have some advisory board appointments. And I'm going to read these, and I was thinking we could do what we have done before, is we could move all of them together if someone wants to do that. But so let me first read them. We have advisory board appointments. To the Planning Advisory Board, Scott Witham, the Built Environment Design Representative. But you didn't know that there was that kind of representative on there. The term expires December 31st, 2028. And then we have the 2026 reappointments to the Environmental Management Council, Kate Darfler, at-large representative, term expires December 31st, 2027. Dan Antonoli, how's that? Not too bad. Before I said it? Antonioli, at-large representative, term expires the same date, December 31st, 2027. The Hillview Landfill Citizens Advisory Committee, Joe Gagnon, neighborhood representative, term expires December 31st, 2029. Would someone like to move all those together? Veronica and Greg seconds. If we wanted to discuss any of those, we could go into executive session. Seeing nobody interested in that. So why don't we go ahead and vote on those. This is the advisory board appointments. All in favor, raise your hand. That's unanimous again. All right, we're on a roll. And next we have the chair's report. And I just had two things. One thing, I mentioned this at the legislature meeting. This is regarding where our energy comes from, and this has to do with NYSEG. So I got my bill last week or two, and they had a breakdown of where your energy comes from if you get it directly from NYSEG. Now, there's times where, you might sign up to get your energy from somewhere else, but if you get it right from NYSEG, I know we've talked about how much of it is renewable, and at best, there's about close to 15% of the energy that they provide directly from them is renewable. So I just wanted to just put that out there, because I know it's hard to get the information from NYSEG of where all their energy comes from. And that was, I believe, as of 2023. And the other thing that I wanted to say was just a big thank you to everybody, to the members of this committee, Rich, Veronica, Greg, and Amanda. It's been a pleasure serving with you this year. I really appreciate it. And especially a big thanks to all the administration, our departments. We have the Department of Planning and Sustainability that does a lot of great work that goes through this committee. We have Recycling Materials Management that also goes through this committee that does tons of great work in the community and for the county. And also thanks to our clerks who make us look good. I always say that they're doing all of this work behind the scenes and we present it, but they do, at times research for us, tracking down, who's going to present or who to follow, reminding us to follow up on things sometimes. So I really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Taylor, and to all the other clerks. Amanda?
Well, thank you to you, Annie. I'm not sure how many years you've been the chair of this committee, but I think you've been on the committee for your entire time.
Right.
And
8 years.
Have become a great leader, and not just because of the pizza party. So thank you for your leadership and walking us through all this important stuff all these years.
Thank you, Amanda. And as I was saying, for the departments, a lot of times I just, there was an old term that I learned, I can't remember exactly how it goes, so pardon me if I don't get it exactly right, but you either walk alongside somebody, or you lead them, or you just get the heck out of the way and let them do their stuff. And so again, sorry if I'm sure I didn't say that correctly, but that's the way I look at life, and especially working here at the county. When I first came in as a legislator 8 years ago, I was like, I had all these ideas and things I wanted to do, but going around, it was so valuable to go around to the different departments and see what you're doing. And most of the time, I just try and get out of the way or support you in your work. And so please let us know, and the new legislators, coming in, how they can support you, because you guys do great work. So thank you all. And I'm going to miss everybody. Okay, should have said that at the end, because for some reason it's hard to see my paper. County Administrator Norma Jane, do you have any report for us today?
I do not have a report today, but I would also say thank you to the whole team. Many of you are leaving this year, and it's been really great to serve this committee. So thank you for that, but no, I have no other reports.
Any questions for Norma? Okay, thank you, Norma. And let's see, the Department of Planning and Sustainability. We have Katie Borgella here, the commissioner. And what do you have? I heard you have a little report for us today.
I do have a little report. Excuse me. Building on the NYSEG, our department submitted testimony in the NYSEG RG&E rate case that was prepared in coordination with the County Attorney's Office and informed by discussions through executive session at this peak committee. So wanted to let you know that, as well as we're currently awaiting the company's reply and actively tracking testimony and rebuttals that are submitted by other stakeholders. So more to come on that front, but wanted to let you know we did submit those comments. Also, probably John and his team could talk to this better than I could, but there was a stream training held by the Water Resources Council on November 19th. Soil and water staff led a group of people from 4 towns and New York State parks as a follow-up of last November's Stressed Out Streams training for highway staff. It was held at a recently completed project along the west branch of Cayuga Inlet, where they were able to see a variety of in-stream structures that were installed, including riprap and stacked rock in locations where infrastructure was involved. So I think that was a great training. People really appreciate a chance to get out in the field and look at things in person. And then the last thing I wanted to let you know about is, due to timing, we were not able to bring a memo in time to get to your packet. So in January, we will be bringing you the memo that's required through our purchasing policy, that a RFP was recently released for the Fall Creek Stream Corridor Assessment Study. That was released on December 3rd with applications due January 8th. And I would just like to say, while we're giving kudos, I really will miss all of you guys. Peak, we report to 3 different committees in planning and sustainability, and Peak has always been the one closest to our hearts in many ways because it's the core of what we do, it's planning. So appreciate all of you, and especially your service, Annie, and leadership. So thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Any questions for Katie? Thank you again, Katie, for all you do and wonderful department that you have there. And I know that takes great leadership, so thank you.
Thank you.
And now we're on to recycling and materials management. We're trucking right along with our agenda today. And so we have Leo Riley here, the director of the recycling materials management, and also Kat McCarthy, the deputy director. And I'll let you introduce, and you have some other staff here. Would you like to introduce them before we go any further?
Yeah, go ahead and introduce them, Kat.
All right, sure. So I believe most of you folks have met Ren Kingsley, our assistant recycling specialist. She's been here for a little over a year now and is doing fabulous work on waste reduction and reuse. And we also have Eileen Holmes here, who is our relatively new, but has been coming along very quickly, feels like she's been here for much longer, communication specialist. And Eileen has been helping on a number of projects, including outreach and education on the reusable bags, which we'll be speaking about in a little bit.
Well, great. We'll get to your folks' report in a couple minutes. And so, Leo, did you have anything, or did you want to go right into the capital summary? Did you have anything else going on?
I was going to just update the committee on some of the changes that they're going to see in 2026, or changes at the facility, rather. Of course, you've heard them through the budget process, but I thought I would just kind of sum them up. So we have been working from a customer satisfaction survey that we did a year and a half ago, and we're trying to chip away at some of the confusing things, whether they're in rate fees or materials, and we're going to continue to work to make things less confusing over there year over year. So one of the things this year is we have 3 tiers when someone comes in with solid waste and gets weighed in. So there's a minimum tier, and that tier this year is $15. Next year it's going to $20. The second and third tier is going to weight-based. So that will simplify what goes on there, and it'll also be a little more fair for the folks that bring stuff in that fall into that second and third tier. So they'll just be paying strictly by weight. So I think that's a step in the right direction for that.
Leo, what are the second and third tier?
So the first tier currently is $15 up.
But I mean, like, what would that look like for a vehicle coming in? Is that is the first tier like a truck or a van or a?
Either. It could be either. So if they're paying by weight, they'll pull on the truck scale. And the first tier, you pay $15 flat fee for weight between 1 pound and 333 pounds. We need to keep that.
Sure.
We need to keep that minimum. But the second tier would be from 333 pounds to 666 pounds. So that, and they would pay $30.
Okay.
Flat fee. The third tier would be $45, and that weight is from 667 pounds to 999 pounds. So the issue that surfaces is if you fall into that second tier and say you're 20 pounds more than the first tier, you're paying $15 more for that extra 20 pounds. So that's when we hear from users of the facility and how it's not fair. I mean, it balances out, but I couldn't agree more that it's unfair. So I think that, again, will just make it much more fair. They're just paying by weight for anything over 333 pounds, if that makes sense. So it's a step in the right direction.
Okay, thank you. Rich, yeah, people have
Are you
questions
going
along
to
the way?
change the weights? Like, are you going to try to align it that up to 660 some pounds, it should cost about $30, or?
They'll pay per ton. So our tipping fees going from 106 a ton to 110 a ton. So anything over 333 pounds.
Right,
will
but
be paid.
are you anticipating that this will generate more revenue, less revenue, or the same?
We're anticipating it to level out because we are increasing the first tier from 15 to 20.
Yeah.
So we'll see some additional revenue there.
Yeah.
But the second and the third tier, we would lose revenue per ton, if you will. But we believe that it'll balance out.
Okay, and
Yeah.
I've been a pretty regular customer of yours, and I paid 45, but what happens if you have more than 1,000 pounds? I've never come in with more than that.
That goes right to the per ton tip fee. So $106 a ton. Yeah.
Thanks.
So have you ever experienced being like just 20 pounds over one tier into the next tier?
I think the last time I paid $30, but as you said, it evens out. I don't pay attention to it, so.
More than likely, if you're a frequent user, it does balance out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it can be unfair.
And I would say the people that help me, check in and check out and at the tipping floor are great. They really get you in and out.
That's always good to hear.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
And you'll still have bags, like you can bring a bag, like I bring a bag and it's, I think, $3.
Yes.
Still have that?
Yes,
The
so
punch cards?
that's a good point. There's still the option of the punch card or coupon for smaller vehicles. Yep. Let's see. And then I thought I'd just make mention the price increases. We're going to be doing outreach for that, and just so you know, we've got press releases scheduled to go out soon after our discussion here. Obviously, digital communications with updates to our website, social media posts, and then updating all of our printed materials. And we do have plans to engage the frontline staff in the changes. And then we will always get them back together January, early February, just to kind of understand any feedback that we're getting from some of those changes, whether they be positive ones or negative ones. It's good for us to understand and get some feedback. So that's all planned. One of the other, as far as materials go, I think I've mentioned this previous, at least through budget presentations. We are, first of the year, offering an optional program where mattresses and box springs can be recycled. I believe the fee is $31 to have a mattress or box spring recycled. And again, it's optional.
Optional means you could either bring it to the tipping floor or
So when you
could
bring it in,
somewhere else to get recycled.
you bring it into our facility, and we'll still accept that as municipal solid waste or garbage at the fee that we charge for garbage. But if someone wants it recycled, it'd be $31, and then that would go to another area of the facility, and then set in a different load, if you will. And then those mattresses would go to, what's the name of the company, Kat?
Triad?
Triad. It's out in the Buffalo, Rochester area. And their process out there is they disassemble them, fabric, metal, wood, everything gets recycled.
And you'll let us know the details of how someone could do that when you get those?
Yep, yes, we
Okay.
can do that.
Thank you. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Leo. I'm out of curiosity, why is it optional? Which direction it goes?
Well, we made it optional to kind of test the waters. It's expensive, so $31 to recycle your mattress, or if you brought it in just by itself, it would be $15 to come in as garbage. So I don't think we really wanted to push that button right off the bat. So if you will, kind of test the waters, we'll understand what kind of interest there is. We really believe that it's just a matter of time before mattresses are banned from landfills. So it also lets us kind of gear up to how we're going to handle them separately, how we're going to ship them separately. We're not necessarily calling it a pilot, but we're looking at it kind of as a pilot where we can learn some things.
So do we have a flat fee for mattresses as trash or garbage? Or is it done by the weight of the mattress?
It could be either. So again, if you come in with a mattress over the scale, just a mattress, that you'd hit that flat fee for that first tier I talked about. So today it'd be $15. But if it came in a pickup truck load where you've got everything plus a mattress and the weight is 1,500 pounds, you're essentially paying by the weight, exact weight for that mattress.
I guess I would maybe like to see you encourage a smaller gap between mattresses to try to incentivize the trade up to recycling so that decision is a little bit easier and that we see more recycling. Obviously, you have to sort of test the waters, but I guess I would rather try to have us drive more to the recycling of that material than the landfill. And, 200% more or 100% more, whatever that is a big enough gap that people could make the wrong decision, maybe the financially right decision for them. But it'd be interesting to see if there was some way to either bring that top number down or that bottom number up so that there was less disparity between the two.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I do agree. We increased the annual fee this year. We increased the garbage tip fee this year.
Yeah.
We kind of wanted to be a little sensitive with, something like mattresses.
Sure.
But with that said, we'll get educated on mattress recycling over the next year. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I understand you have to pay for, what it costs. So it sounds like that's where you're going to right now, just to test the water and you have to figure out, where they get stored there, how many you get in, and then transporting or does the company Triad come and get them or you have to transport them somewhere?
So our contract with our facility operators, they supply the transportation for that, so that's all included in the $30 per ton mattress fee. With that said, I don't know. Do you know, Kat, if Triad's actually? I don't think they're sending a truck. I think we pay for the freight for those mattresses to go on.
Right, I know they said that they were going to send, there would be a container that comes back and forth. The trailer.
Yeah. Again, learning experience for us coming up this next year.
Yeah, sure. Okay, anything else? Oh, I'm sorry, Rich had a question for you, Rich.
I had a follow-up. You said you think mattresses won't go to landfills in the future?
I believe it's just a matter of time before they're banned from landfills. They're a real nuisance in landfills. The springs are a nuisance. With trucks and equipment operating at the landfill, I've had them tangled up in trucks, drive lines, PTOs, and they're a nuisance. Also, just the way that they interact, if you will, in the landfill, they bounce back. Transportation is an issue with mattresses because it minimizes the weight and the load. So if we at our facility was to get a truckload or trailer load of mattresses, which we can, you load those into a trailer, now we're getting a small amount of weight that ships to the landfill, just upping our transportation costs per ton. So it causes problems, transportation and in the landfills.
Yeah, I guess my follow-up is the company I used to work with did fire testing on mattresses, and So I learned a little bit about just how awful the material is, and the idea that this could ever be recycled, breaking it down into its constituent parts seems almost impossible. So where do the mattresses go then?
The mattresses go to Triad, so they're,
But what do they do with them?
The stuffing part, I guess.
The parts apart.
yeah.
They can recycle the stuffing part, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah?
When we
Not
went.
good stuff.
to-
Your new mattress.
When we went to the landfill tour, they talked about it, or it was in one of the movies they showed us or something, and, you know, they can take the wood parts out, they can take the metal parts out and recycle the metal, and I guess there's not really cloth recycling, but they talked about what you just said is, you know, they don't really compress, or they compress and then they bounce back.
They're kind of like
and-
springy.
Yeah, they're springy because they're mattresses.
Yeah, so our waste currently is going to Chemung landfill, and they still accept mattresses right at the same rate as everything else. But we understand Seneca Meadows is charging $150 per mattress. So they're not banning them from the landfill, but at $150 per mattress, they're reducing the amount of mattresses that go in there. So then we have to deal with mattresses coming to our facility. So if you've got a collector that's operating in Ontario County and operates in Tompkins County, we're careful that we're not seeing the mattresses they're collecting that they would normally take to Seneca Meadows, that they're not funneling them down here, so we get to deal with them, causing even more issues for us on the transportation side. The more mattresses we get, the more it kind of affects our bottom line too, so.
Kat, were you trying to say something before?
Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to add too, with extended producer responsibility, if you look at a number of the New England states, they are also having mattress recycling laws. So if you buy a mattress, either you've paid for, whether you're in a clear fee or within, and then they have mattress recycling infrastructure across the state. So you have an easy access point to recycle your mattress at the end. So I think Leo's, illustrated what's happening on the waste end of things, but it's possible that New York may pass something like that, and we could be seeing mattress recycling infrastructure kind of coming forward in that realm as well.
Yeah, personally, I'd like to see if we could pass a local law next year, maybe that mandates mattress recycling. We'll pass that over to Irene next year. Is she shaking her head? She's Googling how to do that right now.
Given the PFAS in mattress fabric, how do they
Yeah.
use it safely?
Yeah,
Certainly, it'll be very interesting.
yeah, so if there is a way, so I'd like to, I'm not going to be here, but I'd like the committee to at least look at that next year, because if there is, however much is being recycled, I don't know if we know for sure through Triad, but certainly, if that's the way that it's going, that they're probably, going to be banned from landfills, and we have landfills that are closing. If that's another big, huge item that could be recycled, I at least broke one down, a box spring one time. It was that we needed to send to the landfill, so I broke it down. It didn't take that long, but I couldn't, I reused the wood and recycled the metal, but then there was the rest of it that I put in trash, but I just couldn't bear to put like that whole box spring, in the garbage.
And they're difficult to take apart too.
Yeah.
They're not easy to take apart. So,
Yeah.
I expect too, whether it's EPR or, whether it's just landfills up in the price or banning them from landfills, I would expect that there'd be more processing markets or availability of processors, and hopefully it's closer than Rochester or Buffalo, because that's a big driver of cost, is how far you have to take something like that. So,
Right.
yeah. But we'll certainly get an education on mattress recycling here in the upcoming year. So, lastly, just want to put it out there, kind of give you a brief update on where we are with the laws. So we've got the Chapter 140 laws. I know I've mentioned them, during the budget process and a few times here. We'll continue working on that the first part of the year, and I think we're looking at hopefully having a draft for administration on the updates February or March, and been working with Norma on kind of the path that we need to take with updating those laws. But just want to make mention that it is something that it's a big project for us in 2026, and yeah.
And those are laws around?
So there's 4 articles in the Chapter 140 laws, mandatory recycling, there is illegal dumping, hauler licensing, trash tags, and trash tags. Pay-as-you-throw trash tags, yeah. And we hope to tighten things up a little bit. Again, I think I've made mention that we're seeing decreased volumes of recyclable material year over year, pretty consistently. And we can explain some of that with what the industry's doing with packaging. We hope to explain a little more when we get the results of the waste characterization study that was done in October, November. So we're doing a few things to better understand where those recyclables are going, what's happening to them.
And so one question, not related to anything that you just said, but just thinking I have on my to-do list to reach out and send you an email. So there was a complaint about Casella picking up recycling, and I don't know if it's coming out of the truck or whatever, but just a lot of the recycling winding up, on the street. And after somebody told me that, I was like, well, yeah, around the same, it was a couple weeks ago in Trumansburg. And so should I send you an email?
Yes, yep.
About that? Okay.
Yep.
Then I didn't think about it till someone did that, but it also about the same time, like I'm on Swamp College Road and down the road. So I went up and down the road and picked it all up.
Yep.
I just thought, well, that was one thing, but so I don't know if it's.
Yeah, we get them. We get elevated complaints on litter on those really, really windy days. And, we treat every complaint separately. But our set outs with the residential curbside collection, they're bins, usually not covered. I think that creates, certainly contributes to litter. Can we pin some on the collectors? This day and age, from time to time, everybody has cameras. Everybody has, Ring cameras and all of that stuff. We'll get clips now and then, and we address that with the company that collects the recyclables. But I think a good majority of what's considered littered or might be blamed on the collection activity really comes from just the wind and weather related. But we deal with those. We're happy to give that person a call and ask them some questions and see if we can't drill down and understand what's going on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments for Leo or Kat? All right, so next up, you have.
Yeah, I'm going to let this group down here take it away.
Sure. So I think it was a couple months ago, we had brought a resolution to shift some funds for reusable bags. And with that,
Can you get a little closer to the mic?
Sure,
and this is packet page 14, if you're following along in the packet.
So with that resolution, we had also identified or kind of shared that, the intent is for distribution of these bags. And so we're coming back to share a little bit more about kind of some of the work that's been done in the last quarter to really kind of both procure more, utilize those funds that have been transferred, but also to do some education and outreach around reuse and bags. So I'm going to hand it off to Ren and Eileen to share a little bit about the work that they've been doing to make sure these bags are not only getting into the community, but being used over and over and over again.
Yeah, thanks. And we've put together some slides, so I'm just going to share my screen and pull up a little presentation that has just some photos of what we've been working on. So part of the funds has been put together. Oh, there it is. Great. So we had some funds going towards advertising. So what we're calling it is the Bring Your Own Bag campaign, and we're encouraging folks wherever you go, bring a bag. And so we have been, the basic message, right, is that your 5-cent fee, a portion of that comes to us to distribute reusable bags throughout the county.
And can you explain how the 5-cent fee, where that comes from?
Right, so the plastic bag ban from New York State in 2020 is a statewide ban on plastic bags, and so there's then a 5-cent fee that Tompkins County has opted in to, and then that 5 cents goes to New York State, and then we get 3 cents of that back for every paper bag sold in Tompkins County. And so following what Kat said, that the reallocation of funds to be able to encourage residents to bring their own bags and not necessarily rely on paper bags, whether it be people forget their reusable bags or they just don't see it as important. For whatever reason, we are hoping that this campaign will result in fewer paper bags being sold in Tompkins County, so it'll be exciting to see. So we were looking at how can we best use those funds to reach a countywide audience, and so we have been developing a TCAT bus ad campaign. So we'll be working, they recently went up, and we have some photos here to show everybody of the reusable bag advertising that is going to be on bus shelters. And then we'll also, we're working on an advertisement to go on the side of a bus, encouraging folks to bring their own bags. So, so Eileen, do you want to talk about the
Yeah, so this is wherever you go, bring a bag. So, if you're going to the mall or going grocery shopping, traveling, sports, there are so many reasons to have a bag with you. And we do give away some bags to limited income folks, but everybody has that ability to reuse a bag. And so this campaign is a 4-week bus shelter campaign. I did a little mock-up here. There's different sizes of bus shelters, so there's like a skinny version and a wider version. And this is targeting the holidays, so like a gift-giving time. You're out and about, it's bustling out there. So we incorporated some like holiday iconography and like snowflakes to make it cheerful. And we also want it very bold, like it's in your face, baggy. It's like undeniable. And we have a QR code at the bottom that Rob Henry helped us with, a branded icon that will direct us to a reusable bag part of our section of the county website. It will share all the what Ren was talking about and more. So the goal is to have repeated visual cues to encourage positive habit change. So we start with this 4-week campaign at 4 different shelters, and then we'll have the side of the bus campaign. It'll go all around the county for half of the year. So if you're taking the bus, you're walking, a pedestrian, you'll see it. But also if you're driving, anybody commuting anywhere will eventually encounter this ad probably.
Yeah, and here are just some photos of the installed advertisements and we chose locations that are close to high traffic areas or routes that are that go to or come from places where people would likely be shopping and where those 5-cent bags would be used. So keep your eyes open. We really wanted to give you guys a heads up that you'll see these around, and this is part of that reusable bag fee. Encouraging that positive habit change, like Eileen said.
One of the locations is by Walmart, so obviously a high traffic shopping area. Another one is on Seneca, right across from Bernie Milton Plaza. Another one's on University Avenue, targeting college folks. And they threw in an extra one because they had extra print, and that was very nice of them.
And I think we'll just kind of add in that, I think this is just yet another step in this successful program. I know there was a lot of discussion prior about the sheer amount that comes in through this, but, from where we sit and what we've seen, this really has reduced the quantity of disposable single-use bags out there. I've heard anecdotes about just the litter that you see in the springtime and how many bags are in trees and such. And it's really, we do believe that this is a positive overall component, and we're really excited to continue to build on that waste reduction element of it to really help people build those habits that continue to drive that down further and further, the usage of single-use down.
Greg, and then Amanda.
Yeah, great job. I think TCAT advertising is really great, and it's a way to have, it get all around town in a very sort of effective way. So kudos there. I think the designs are really catchy and grab you. One of the things is, and as I've started to kind of do some winter deep cleaning at my house, I've realized that I have so many reusable bags because I have occasionally been that person that did not bring a bag. And then I was like, wait, but I have a cart full of groceries and I left them at home, or whatever the case is. Is there a way, or is there a method or a good avenue for donating or reusing or sharing reusable bags with others? Would it be the reuse center, or is there?
I'm just going to chime in here. I know you guys have ideas too. Enfield Food Pantry needs bags. Okay. If you want to bring some in, I will. Anybody wants to bring them in next couple of weeks, if any of my fellow legislators or staff want to bring them in here, I will be glad to bring a carload, or however many we can get here, and I will bring them to the Enfield Food Pantry. They're always needing bags. So go ahead, Ren.
Yeah, I just want to say that too, so our reusable bag program, we provide large amounts of bags to organizations that can use reusable bags. That's how the program functions. And a lot of the organizations that request bags are food pantries and community organizations that, I know the Village at Ithaca is another one that is using reusable bags. Pretty much any food pantry is going to want reusable bags. And Finger Lakes reuses, there's a lot of positive uses. Like if you want to donate a bunch of clothes to Finger Lakes Reuse instead of a plastic bag that's going to end up with plastic waste, donate things in reusable bags or something. And so that is an option as well.
Good deal. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is what the bags that we currently give away are.
It's so small. It's easy to stick in your backpack or clip it on your bag.
Yeah, I've clipped them on bags or my belt loops, so I have them with me when you're going around festivals or any time you go out. Amanda?
I have lots of thoughts, but this makes me very happy. The first thing I wanted to do when I joined the legislature 8 years ago was get a plastic bag ban in place, and I worked very hard on that for many months, and then the state swooped in and finally said we're going to have a state ban. So this is great. It's great to see the money coming from this program being able to be used in another way, because I feel like we've talked in the past about, you're giving out so many bags, and this is a lot of money, right? It's more money than I think we expected. So it's great to get that out there. And I think, I don't know what the psychology is, but I know for advertising, for if people are trying to get you to buy something, they say, it has to go and get in front of somebody 3, 4, 5 times. So if people are seeing this a couple of times repeatedly, it will get in there eventually. And I know for me, I definitely used to struggle to remember, but I always remember now, and yeah. So very happy. This is wonderful. Thank you for the work on this and continuing to reduce waste and get, needed things out to the community. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll second what Amanda said. So thank you. Very well said, Amanda. And thank you for your work on reducing waste and all kinds of waste and getting environmentally procured items for the county. And I know your department has helped with that too. I checked the QR code and it does work, which is great. It's live now. You can try it now, the ones in the packet. And so it brings you to a page, save money, reduce waste, and about the reusable bag distribution. And so then one of the things it said in here was that to support the reuse of these bags, you are providing downloadable messaging assets, including client-facing signs and social media assets. So that's something that I'm sure you'll be pushing out as part of this, or?
That's actually, I don't know what years before my time those signs were developed, but that is available on the website currently. And so part of this campaign is, I see it as like an opportunity to kind of unify the program and develop some more current signage. It's a message that is forever relevant. So that signage is available actively. And
so maybe as part of this campaign, we can help push that word out that it's available, even if you're doing it at some point. I didn't realize that. So I would really like for more stores to be having that out there, because like Amanda said, I remember years ago, when I first started reusing bags, so that was taking my folded paper bags back to the store. And then you had, getting them to the car was one thing. And then it took me a long time to remember to take them from the car. And now I just do it, it feels weird to walk out of the car towards the store oh, where's my bag? But so I really like that you're doing this campaign. I think it'll help a lot, because the more times you remind people, then it'll be second nature. But grocery stores are one thing, and then it's the other stores where it's a whole nother thing for people to think about, that I'm going shopping or I'm just walking on the commons, or I'm just going in quick to get one little thing, but you're probably going to get more. So bring your own bags. So now with the bag fee, is that only at grocery stores?
There's a list on the plastic bag ban law that it specifies what types of establishments and stores are required to provide paper bags or are banned from plastic bags. So places like grocery stores, retail locations, I don't know off the top of my head exactly, but places like your restaurant that is giving you a to-go order, they're not required by law to use a non-plastic bag. So places like that, you can still buy plastic bags for sale somewhere else and use them. So
I think there's an exemption list that's easier to understand. So people or organizations that are exempt, like farm stands, farm stores, certain foods have to be, still placed in plastic bag, meats and whatnot. So there are some exemptions, but we've seen a real big decrease in plastic bags, no doubt at all. So I don't know if there's any more questions, but I just certainly wanted to speak for the department and certainly thank this committee and the committee members that are going to be spending most of free time fishing in the new year. But, you know, certainly thank you for the conversations, the support. You know, as an example, this campaign really was developed on the heels of a conversation in this committee when we were talking about the large amounts of revenue, and it seemed a perfect it seems though it turned out perfect. We were able to allocate some of that money. So for the most part, it's not costing us anything. I know it was a difficult budget year for everyone, including TCAT. That doesn't hurt to support, you know, them through this advertising either. So again, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And a quick turnaround, really. I mean, it was a few months ago we started talking about this. So thank you for turning this around so quickly and working on this. It looks really great. Amanda.
Last thought. I feel like I've said this maybe at a previous meeting, but again, when we went to the landfill, that was very impactful for me. But we did ask the operators, you know, since the plastic bag ban in New York, have you noticed any differences? And they were like, absolutely. Like, we don't have plastic bags messing up our machines, and they're not blowing all over. And they used to have all kinds of problems with the plastic bags going through their machinery. And they said that's just not happening now. I mean, that's a huge win, right, for the entire industry. So it's all around, it's great.
So expect next year, Amanda, to pop in the committee, or at least Zoom in to talk about things that she learned on the landfill tour. Thank you, Amanda. And another thing.
Every other month, I'll be here. Loved that landfill. It was so cool.
Anything else? Oh, you have, let's see, did we do the capital summary? Does anybody have any questions on that? No? Okay. Anything else, Leo or Kat?
No, I think that's enough for today, huh?
Well, thanks again for all the great work you do. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And next up, we have John Negley from Soil and Water Conservation District. So come on up. And then after that, we'll have Crystal Buck from the Ag and Farmland Protection Board. That and I see she's on Zoom, so she'll go right after John. So John's here to tell us a little bit about what you've been doing this year.
Yeah, thank you. I guess I'll continue the echoing of thank yous, especially to those.
Can you get a little closer, about 4 inches?
Yeah, especially those leaving the legislature this year. I've worked with you in various different capacities in the Water Resources Council and our board of directors. So thank you in multiple different capacities, but especially here at the legislature. You've done incredible work for soil and water conservation. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. I'll be brief. A quick little presentation of just some updates that we have for this year, and then what we're looking at in 2026. So
before you go too far, do you want to introduce Jan?
yes, so I brought along here Jan Dyson. She is our secretary treasurer for the Soil and Water Conservation District. I thought it would be useful to just bring another face that is with the Soil and Water District. There's 7 of us there, and Jan runs a lot of our finances, works a lot with the board of directors. So if you have any questions for Jan, go easy on her. So what is it that we do? I think most of you know what we do. It's not paying the sewer and water bill, which Jan takes a lot of phone calls. You know, is this where we pay our water and sewer bill? It is not. That's a different whole another agency. We're here to help all of you, citizens, school districts, pretty much anybody in our county and even adjacent counties help manage their soil and water resources. We touch a lot of different program areas and work a lot with municipalities, work with school districts, trying to just create more conservation across the landscape with water resource conservation. So what have we done in 2025? We've done a lot of planning, 5 different planning projects, large-scale planning projects. We've been working, and Katie mentioned the Fall Creek grant application for planning. We're actually in Buttermilk Creek right now, walking that stream, looking at erosion and assessing the stream banks through there. We're hoping to get to a 30% completed design by spring of 2026 that can be implemented. We're looking at roadside ditch stabilization with the town of Lansing. And then if you've ever worked with concentrated animal feeding operations, you probably heard of nutrient management planning and the work around farms that they do for collecting manure, fertilizer, and trying to not let that run off into the landscape. So regulated farms, those over 300 animal units, are regulated to have this nutrient management plan. The smaller farms are not regulated. So we were able to take some funding this year and work with 3 smaller farms and a private planning entity and help them with nutrient management planning and get that on the ground for them. So we feel like that's a win. And then we've also worked with construction projects, so 11 different construction projects, and a lot of different planning partners across those construction projects, state partners, nonprofit partners, municipalities. We've even worked with the Cuba Lake Watershed Network, and we were able to gather a private donation of $25,000 for again, Katie was mentioning the Watershed tour in Newfield. We had a private donation to do some work down in there. So a lot of different avenues that we can pull money from and be able to work cooperatively and not have it all come from a tax base or tax money. So these are just some examples, and I'll go through a little bit of a picture montage of projects that we're doing. So planning projects, this is our Buttermilk Creek project that we've been talking about. So a lot of these streams are high eroding banks that you see. Lots of sediment loading into Cuba Inlet, Cuba Lake, Owasco Lake, Susquehanna River. So we have our engineers go out there, try to assess what we can do for stabilization measures and stop some of that erosion. Again, working with the town of Lansing, this is up on Fiddler's Green, looking at the roadside ditch there. They're having stormwater overflows, erosion concerns. So we coming in, doing some engineering designs for them so that they can go to implementation in 2026. We've also worked with our Ag Environmental Management Program. The last round, we've been able to have implementation funds into that. In the past, it's just been planning programs. There's $100,000 worth of implementation funding that we get from New York State Ag and Markets. And so we've been able to work with a couple dairy farms and put in cattle crossings across streams, put in these from a nutrient management plan, storages and concrete areas to contain that manure, be able to spread it in times that not going to have runoff into the landscape. And then our Finger Lakes Lake Ontario Watershed Protection Alliance, we call it FLOPA. There was $120,000 in this last state budget for implementation projects. So that can be anything from hydroseeding roadside ditches to stream bank stabilization, to ag drainage runoff, to barnyard management for manure. So these programs that come out from the state and we're part of are very flexible and allow us to do a lot of different activities. The Upper Susquehanna Coalition, we just finished this project up a couple weeks ago. As you can see, the snow was out there. We planted, I think there was 3 riparian buffers that we planted this year. You can see from the bottom right picture, maybe not, the cows were in the stream before our project. We were able to fence those out and plant trees, keep those nutrients from entering the creeks and tributaries, running off into the lakes and streams. It's a good volunteer project. We actually had Ithaca College folks come help us there. And then just some of our outreach. We actually had Commissioner of Agriculture, Richard Ball, come down to Tompkins County this past year. We took them on a tour of 4 different projects across the landscape and looked at things like our boat wash station out at Myers Park for hydrilla. We've done roadside ditching practices, some innovative stabilization there with articulated concrete mats. Just some barnyard and agricultural projects there that we took them on a tour through. So if any of you are interested, or any of the new legislators are interested in going on some tours, even if it's just, hey, I want to go see some projects, call us up. We'd be happy to just even have you jump in a car and we can take you around to some projects so you can see what's going on in the landscape. And then this year, 2025, we re-inaugurated our annual tree and shrub sale. We sold 2,500 trees and shrubs through the sale. A lot of our staff were there helping pack the couple days before.
2,500?
2,500, yep. A lot of these we're trying to ease our way into it, but it'd be nice at some point to be able to log where all these trees are planted. But we gave them a card to log it into the New York State DEC registry for tree plantings and what may be going against some climate initiatives for New York State.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are there trees or shrubs that you, for the purposes that you're looking at, that you recommend planting or that are specific to kind of your needs? How do you select what those are?
So we go through a regional wholesaler that supplies a lot of the soil and water districts. But ours, we range from, this year we're going to pick up like fruit trees and apple trees. There's even like grapes. So you kind of got your backyard conservationists that want to put in a couple specimen trees to large conservation projects like around stream bank erosion. So a lot of our shrubs are more water loving type plants, but we'll get oaks, sugar maples.
Oh, cool.
So we do have a website that we'll be putting up probably in another month here. So go ahead and go to our website. It'll be kind of the first link, and you can order online for those starting in January probably. So just the last little bit here, that you hear a lot of things with Cayuga Lake and algae blooms and nutrient runoff and things we have to keep working on to improve. I just wanted to kind of highlight some successes that we've had. This past year, one of our local farmers was nominated and awarded the highest agricultural conservation achievement in New York State. It's the AEM Leopold Award, and that was to a farm in Newfield. So And most of that was their voluntary efforts that they've done, not necessarily even the programs that we run. It's just documented efforts that they've done on their own, knowing that they want to be better stewards of the landscape. So we applaud them and the farm and the AEM program. And then, I don't know if any of you saw last year, 2024, Cayuga Lake actually logged the state record for the largest largemouth bass in 37 years caught in New York State. So I attribute that to all the hard work our staff does.
Yes. Of course.
There's lots of conservation in the county and in the watershed, but I feel like soil and water districts do a lot to help out. So what are we doing in 2026? We're still going to utilize the Environmental Protection Fund. So with state budgets being the way they are probably in 2026, any support that we can throw towards the Environmental Protection Fund really helps our programs and goes a long way to meeting the needs that we need for conservation in Tompkins County. And then in this week, we're actually going to be meeting to sign hopefully an implementation contract with the Eastern Finger Lakes Coalition that'll bring $3.5 million to Tompkins County for conservation through the New York State Bond Act. So those funds will go directly to the Eastern Finger Lakes Coalition. There's $42 million in a pot across 11 soil and water districts. So over the next 5 years, we hope to really boost implementation on the ground with those funds. And that will address things in the total maximum daily load for Cayuga Lake, the harmful algae bloom plan, action plans by New York State DEC. Also looking to expand partnerships. I mentioned those private donations, those nonprofit organizations we've been working with, expand those out. And really a lot of that boils back to the $200,000 that you guys all helped support in this last budget cycle, last year's budget cycle. And with $3.5 million, we got a cash flow that really goes a long way to help us balance those accounts right here. Yeah. So, and we are looking for a new at-large board member. One of our board members passed away this past year, so we are looking to replace that position in 2026. That's it. That's all I have.
Any questions for John or Jan? Rich?
I'm just really happy to hear about the tree sale. That's a great,
Yeah.
I hope it just continues to grow.
Yep.
No pun intended.
We have already had people that have gone on the Square site and emailed us to ask when we're having the sale in 2026. So I've been responding to those. I didn't get to tell you yet, but we had 3 different people email wanting to know when the tree sale was going to be.
When are you having the tree sale in 2026?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
So we'll open the site probably in January, and then we will have the actual sale April.
So you can start ordering in January?
We're not going to give a public date yet. Later in April. Yeah.
But yeah, we're hoping to have the site up and running for orders by January 1st is our goal.
Great.
Amanda?
Yeah, just thank you, thank you for, excuse me, all your good work, and it's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
But thank you, John. You continue to do wonderful things, and the tree sale is just one of them. But I have learned a lot and really appreciate everything that you do for everyone in the county. It's important, and I think probably somewhat underappreciated. So thank you.
Well, thank you for helping at the Water Resources Council many, many times. So, yeah.
Regarding the trees and shrubs that you sell, are they all native or mostly native?
So we try to keep them all native as much as we possibly can. I mean, there's going to be fruit trees that are might have some not native distinctions, but we really try to keep to that native distinction, just because it's a conservation sale. We really don't want to sell things like hostas or daylilies, which are wholesaler supplies, but it's something that can be destructive, and we don't want to promote any of that.
So no invasive species you're selling. Okay, that's good.
No.
Yeah, it'd be hard to see selling a cherry tree that's really going to do anything for the environment. There, Greg?
Yeah, next year, I would love to maybe have a more in-depth conversation around stormwater management runoff as it relates to hydrilla and its impact. I just think it's a growing topic and something that we really need to be talking about. And I can't remember who I was talking about the impact. I mean, it might have been an F&I, the impact of like roadside ditching and how that plays a role in hydrilla. So it may be interesting to have a larger chunk of time at one of these meetings to get a little bit more in depth. So if you could think about that or put that somewhere in your reminder list, because I think it would just be a good topic to start a discussion on.
Yeah, and I would encourage you too, like if we can get out in the field, because a lot of times those kind of discussions get really mired in the details, and if we can be at a site, kind of go through the pros and cons of each thing, it's really helpful. So I don't know how to really organize a tour, but with the legislature, but I think it would be beneficial if we could. Yeah.
I think a combination of F&I and peak because of the work that our highway department does and things like that.
Yeah.
It would be kind of a nice, maybe a joint field trip, and then maybe a conversation following the next committee meeting might be helpful.
Sure. Yeah.
And this is something the Water Resources Council talks about. It's one of the main things that they talk about, and so I don't know if you could pull in some folks from there.
Yeah, so things from our Water Resources Council and also the Stormwater Coalition. So they kind of band together under the municipal separate storm sewer system permit. It's our coalition, so a couple different partners maybe invited to the table too.
That'd be great. I have been here 4 years in this committee, and I'm still putting the pieces together someday, so I appreciate that.
It's been 20 years for me, and I still don't know everything.
And I can say that sitting behind the desk and paying the invoices is totally different than going on the tour that I went on and seeing the phenomenal work that's being done. It was really eye-opening for me. I can hear it, but I'm a visual person, so to go out there and see all this fantastic work that our crew is doing, it was well worth a tour.
Is there a certain time of year that's better to tour some of the projects?
We went out in August with the commissioner, and everybody was sweating, so I would recommend October probably. That's usually when most of our projects are wrapping up, and you'll see kind of finished products.
October. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you want to invite past legislators, I'd be interested in going. And I know Amanda's always up for a tour.
Always up for a tour.
I have a feeling you guys will be on the perpetual tour list.
Yes.
Moving forward. The retired reserve.
Retired reserve. Veronica?
Yeah, I'm excited for some tours. I haven't done enough. But also seconding Jan, I'm also on the Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Directors, but our meetings have not that many photos and yes, that many financial statements. So it's actually really I saw a lot of stuff here I haven't seen before. So thank you.
Any other questions for John and Jan? Thank you for coming today and giving us a report. And I appreciate, since I won't see you in this capacity anymore, thank you for all the great work that you and your department does. So really appreciate it. And I know as being an environmentalist for many years and then as a home inspector, especially as a home inspector, the first thing I do is I would drive up and survey the neighborhood first to see just thinking about where's water going. and then where's it going, you know, on that property and stuff like that. So I know that's one of the things that you look at, and water management is so important, especially as we're seeing more climate, you know, rain and other climate events.
If you're anything like Irene, we'll see you out in the field, so.
That's true. All right, well, thank you guys, Jan and John, for coming. Really appreciate it. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Ann. Thanks for having me. My name is Crystal Buck. I am the Farmland Protection Educator with Cooperative Extension, and I serve as staff support to the Ag and Farmland Protection Board. And Annie had asked me to come and give an update on the work of the AFPB today. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen. Okay, so we do, the AFPB does a couple of big outreach efforts every year. So one is the Tompkins County Ag Summit. We usually host that in March. And this year, so we alternate every other year. 1 year will be for farmers, for a farm audience, and the next will be for municipal officials. So this year was for municipal officials. The theme was on ag-friendly solar. So we had a number of speakers, including someone from the American Farmland Trust Smart Solar Program, someone from Lewis County to talk about some of the things that they do in their county, a United Agrivoltaics representative, someone from CCE, and from the Ithaca Area Economic Development Organization. We had about 50 people attend this year. And then the other big event that has happened in the past and came back again this year for the first time after COVID is the County Open Farm Days. So this is an event that's intended to provide direct outreach to the public, to get people onto farms and to meeting with farmers. So this was a one-day event we hosted in August. There were 5 farms on the eastern half of the county, and then next year the AFPB will do the event on the western half. And we had a total of about 250 visitors throughout the course of the day. And then the implementation work of the AFPB is focused on key action items that were identified in the Ag and Farmland Protection Plan. And so one of those is ag marketing, and relating to that, there was quite a bit of work done by Ali Trombitis through the AFPB. She's on staff at CCE, but doing the ag marketing work of the AFPB. And so she did some outreach and support for CSAs. So there was a guide launched in January of 2025 for CSAs in Tompkins County. And it features 14 different CSAs in the county. We had 472 visits to that website over the course of the year. And then we've also been doing a trial run of having one farm use CCE as a CSA drop-off site with the intention of expanding that in the future. So that served 12 individuals where they could come on a Wednesday afternoon. We kept the office open a little bit later to allow for easy pickup. And then we also helped support 2 farmers market nutrition program applications and continued to update the Affordable Local Food Guide again in 2025.
Crystal, I'm going to have you go back for a second.
Yes.
And so the CSA, so I know what that means, but I just wanted to say that's community supported agriculture. And so correct me if I get any of this wrong. And this is where you can help farmers and help consumers, as you can sign up, you know, early in the year so that the farmer, you know, helps support them being able to plant seeds, and gives them revenue ahead of time, and it kind of gives them guaranteed revenue, and you go weekly, bi-weekly, to pick up, what they have grown. And ones I've belonged to too, several farms are doing it together. Is there anything, did I get that right for what CSA is?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that clarification. Yeah, and the idea of having CCE as a drop-off site, of course, is that it's kind of centrally located in downtown area and allows just for another option for people to be able to do that.
And Veronica had a question too.
Not a question, actually. I just wanted to say I was one of those 12 individuals, and anecdotally, I would say it worked great. So thanks for supporting this.
Great. Awesome. Good to hear that. Thank you. Okay, another implementation piece that the AFPB has been working on. This is our second year in bringing back this effort to connect farmers to the state's Ag and Farmland Protection Implementation Grant, which provides farms and partnering land trusts with money to protect farms in perpetuity from willing landowners. So we hosted last year, we had worked on, the AFPB had worked on kind of setting up, establishing a pre-application program, connecting up with the area land trusts to figure out exactly how we could partner with them with this. We had just one farmer in 2024 who applied to that first round. And last year, and now this year in 2025, we did a much bigger outreach effort. So we had an in-person event with 30 farmer landowners who attended. And then from that, we had 4 applicants go through the pre-application process. So it's a pretty detailed pre-application because it helps them kind of get ready to be able to launch into the pretty extensive state grant application process. The applicant itself is the land trust. So as part of the pre-application, we are working directly with those land trusts to make sure we're acquiring the information from the farms that they're going to need to then apply on behalf of the landowners. And the AFPB is doing a ranking of those pre-applications for the land trusts so that the land trusts, their applications are based on kind of local priorities. So in 2024, the AFPB went through the process of creating a criteria ranking system for how those would be evaluated, incorporating county level plans like the Ag and Farmland Protection Plan, as well as others. And then this year they were kind of implementing that on a bigger level. So we had four farmer landowners go through that process, and we forwarded those then on to the Finger Lakes Land Trust and the New York Ag Land Trust, ranked according to the local priorities. And these are the farms that had applied. So there's Oshner Farm, which is one of the ones that John Nagley was referencing back with soil and water conservation work. There's the Foot Farm over in Dryden and Carpenter Farm just outside of the village of Dryden. Those are both fairly large field crop farms. And then down in Caroline, a little bit of a smaller farm. This is a 77-acre farm adjacent to some land trust properties by a beginning farmer couple that is purchasing that property. And just to note, the brown areas here are the Tompkins County Ag Resource Focus Areas. So really trying to align those two programs closely and move that forward to acquire state funding to protect those properties. And then the other big push that the AFPB has been working on, again for a couple years now, is trying to better understand the ways in which solar development on prime farmland can be redirected or mitigated. So the New York State Ag District law requires that publicly funded projects, including solar projects that are funded through NYSERDA, go through a notice of intent review. So that just gives several different organizations, including the county AFPB, a chance to review and comment on any project that meets that criteria. So in 2025, there were 3 solar projects that went through that review. The AFPB looks at those. We have someone on staff who, Guillermo Metz, who is the ag solar person on the staff at CCE. He reviews them and reports to the AFPB, and we provide, then the AFPB kind of prepares a letter that's then submitted to Ag and Markets to be incorporated into their comments on these projects. So those were those three, one in Groton, one in the town of Caroline, one in the town of Dryden. And all three of those were actually, they had been reviewed initially in 2024, had come back through in 2025. And then the other one, the other solar project that was reviewed by the AFPB was the Yellow Barn utility scale solar project. That's up in the towns of Lansing and Groton. That doesn't go through the NOI review, but it goes through a separate review process through ORES. And the AFPB provided extensive comments on that as well.
What is ORES?
The Office of Renewable Energy Siting.
Thank you.
Yeah. So those are for the bigger utility scale projects. They kind of have a separate review process. And then as part of that effort, you know, the AFPB was receiving these notice of intents for solar projects, commenting on them, and really feeling like those comments weren't really making a big impact. And they started thinking about other ways that they could, you know, just better understand how these projects are permitted and ways that those projects could be influenced in one direction to help mitigate the impact on farmland, because a lot of those will have, you know, they're being sited often on working farms, and often include some relatively good soils or prime farmland soils. And the AFPB was concerned that there needed to be more done to address that issue. It wasn't really being resolved through the NOI review process. So they had kind of two different things that they worked on relating to that. The first was just kind of better understanding how other counties have used the payment in lieu of taxes through the IDA to influence or to mitigate the impacts of solar projects on prime farmland. And they worked with the county IDA and Hopkins County to kind of provide some examples of what other communities have done, and that ultimately was what the county IDA moved forward with to modify their pilot policy for solar projects on prime farmland. And then the other piece of that was in, you know, speaking to other communities, particularly Lewis County. The AFPB was interested in how a solar mitigation ag fund might be established in Tompkins County. So this is still something they're very much working on. They've kind of come up with a strategy that they're interested in, and we're trying to figure out the logistics of it. But the basics of this idea would be that similar to how the pilot, the new pilot policy is with the IDA, that there's a tiered approach to solar impact or solar mitigation. So there's a higher payment paid by the solar company if the project is happening on prime and or active farmland. And you could similarly have a tiered approach for a community benefit agreement where the company is paying a municipality for the impact of their project on the community. And you could potentially add an added impact fee for projects that are happening on prime farmland and or active farmland. The AFPB was interested in figuring out, could there be a county level host community benefit agreement? And right now, mostly those are done at the town level, but the AFPB, in speaking with Lewis County and looking at a couple of other examples, like some communities are doing that at the town level, but then also in addition at the county level. And thinking about whether like a portion of the pilot that is paid right now, the pilot, there's a base payment, and then if the project is on prime and or active farmland, there's an added payment that the company has to make. And so the AFPB has been curious about, could the, for example, a portion of the county's portion of the pilot go towards this ag mitigation fund, and possibly two towns might choose to opt in and put a small portion of their community benefit agreement or their portion of the pilot towards this as well. Which is, all of those are just ideas that the AFPB has been talking about as a way to direct some of the funds that come from the solar companies to address the impact of those solar projects on our local community, to take that and direct it towards addressing directly the impact on prime farmland and active agriculture. And the goal there would be to take those potential sources of revenue, those potential resources coming in to address the impact of solar, and pool that at the county level and establish a grant program. That's something that Lewis County has done, not specific for ag, but a grant program for multiple different types of community efforts, including ag. And the AFPB has been interested in figuring out what could be done similar to that in Tompkins County. So these are the types of things that they brainstormed how this ag fund could be used. So it could be a key part that we heard again and again from the farmers in the AFPB was that as the prime farmland is being taken out and put into solar, that what's left is sometimes not as great land. And so doing something to actually improve that less prime land, or to even make more productive some of the remaining land, would be really helpful. And so doing things like drainage infrastructure, green infrastructure improvements for water management, and then a number of things to kind of help boost the ag economy, supporting startups and expansions of farms, worker and apprenticeship training, marketing activities, purchasing efforts, especially as we see the price of farmland go up, both for leasing and for buying. Some of that seems to be being influenced by solar projects, where solar companies can pay quite a bit more for that land than a farmer can pay. And for purchasing machinery and equipment and livestock, construction improvements, and then matching funds for the New York State Farmland Protection Grant, which I just spoke about. So as I said, this is an ongoing effort that the AFPB has been working on for the past couple of years to learn what other communities are doing and start brainstorming how a program like this could be established in Tompkins County. Right now, it's kind of sitting with the county attorney's office for review. And we're seeking guidance, the AFPB is seeking guidance on whether or not the AFPB can act as a county entity to negotiate community benefit agreements, if that would be an appropriate role for them, and also how a program like this could be administered at the county level. For example, could the AFPB review and approve applications? So looking ahead to 2026, we have a number of things that we're looking at, three big items. One is Ag District open enrollment period, which is in February. Sometimes we don't have any applications during that time. It's the time when people who own agricultural land can apply to be added to a district. Last year we didn't have any, but this year we know that we have at least 4 landowners who are planning to apply. And that takes a little bit of a process to move it through AFPB and PEAK and the county Tompkins County Ag Summit in March, and I didn't put this in here, but the open farm days will happen sometime in the summer as well. And then the big thing that we're looking forward to for next year is the 10-year update of the county's Ag and Farmland Protection Plan. So the state grant funds are available to counties every 10 years to update their plans, and Tompkins County's funding will become available in July. So I can take any questions.
Crystal, I know the update on, what did you call it, the agricultural, can you tell me the name?
The Ag and Farmland Protection Plan.
I'm just writing that down. I know I've had a couple of the new legislators asking, what does the county do, to help protect agriculture, and really most of the work is done through CCE. So I know the legislators might be interested in, if you or someone could come to Peak and just maybe, or they can keep it on their radar to come, as you're progressing through that.
Yes, for sure, definitely.
Thank you. Any questions, comments for Crystal? Rich?
Yeah, thanks for coming and talking with us. And I'll put on my hat as the chair of the IDA. It really was helpful to get the input on our solar policy. I think we added some important nuance on prime farmland versus marginal farmland, and trying to figure out how to protect forest land, which I'm not sure we've really gotten there yet. But that really led to improvements in our approach, I believe. I also had a couple comments. One is I think that regarding the community host benefit agreement, New York State hasn't gotten where it needs to go yet. The law on that is really unclear on how this is supposed to be negotiated. Certainly a solar developer has to go to the towns and try to negotiate a community host benefit agreement, but the IDA isn't required to accept that. And in fact, we could do it without any host benefit agreement at all. I learned that because we've had some extensive negotiations regarding the Yellow Barn solar, which I anticipate the IDA is going to be voting on Wednesday. I'm very happy to say I believe we've gotten to a reasonable position there, and I think it may well get advanced in that vote. But I wanted to bring it up because it brought home to me the real balance that has to be struck here. We need solar, we need alternative energy in my view, but at the same time, the impacts on the agriculture industry in both Lansing and Groton is pretty profound. And I went out and met with the town supervisors for Groton and Lansing, and we had a great conversation about it. And I believe that both Lansing and Groton are considering development of local development corporations and using some of their host community agreement to fund those rather than just put the money into operating accounts, to do long-term planning and development of, well, economic development in their communities. And hopefully we talked about it related to agriculture. And I think that's a really workable vehicle. You were talking about trying to do something on a countywide basis, and maybe, but I think you need New York State to jump in on that. But in the meantime, local development corporations are a really flexible tool that gives a lot of power to a municipality to devote resources to economic development. And for both of those communities, I think agriculture is a sensible place to look. In addition, I'd note that as a part of the negotiation, I anticipate that in our vote on Wednesday, the IDA is going to put some portion of its fee into its development corporation and allocate that for development projects in Lansing and Groton. And one of the key areas we'd look would be agricultural development. So there may well be cash in the bank very soon that could be used to that purpose. So I wanted to make you aware of that, and I'd be happy to have further conversation with you about it.
Great, thank you so much. That is really good to hear. And I did just want to say that one of the things that AFPB has spoken about is that it could be helpful to have something not at the town level, simply because it's a fairly small portion of the funding that would go towards farmland or agricultural work. And so by pooling it, it's going to have a greater impact than it would as a small little chunk within a municipality. But I do appreciate the idea, certainly of the local development corporation. That is how Lewis County does it, although they do it at the county level. And it's great to hear that the IDA is looking to direct some of the funds as well.
Yeah, well, Yellow Barn is so substantial. I think the overall cost is $450 million. I mean, this is a big economic investment in our community. And the payments to Lansing and Groton are significant. And they go on,
yes.
You know, so there's some real horsepower there. You know, on the smaller projects, not so much, but right in front of us, I think there's some real opportunity.
I think it's solar power, not horsepower.
Yeah.
Well said.
And Crystal, I think it was Guillermo Metz that gave us or organized the tour of a solar farm. I think it was in Dryden a couple months back. And so that was really informative to go on to that. I mean, to be in the midst, I mean, a lot of us drive by and you see them, but to be able to walk around and talk to the developer, to talk to the farmer who owns the land and takes care of it. I know one of my big takeaways was, I know years ago we thought, oh, well, we could do, you know, we could like grow crops in between the solar panels, or we could do all these different things. It seemed like what the consensus was at this point is that you can have sheep grazing underneath them and around them, which, you know, it feeds the sheep, so that's part of agriculture. And but I know even, say, animals such as goats, they found goats try and climb and chew on everything. So people tried different livestock and things like that. And I believe you had gone on that tour too. Did you have any other takeaways from that?
Yeah, I mean, the farm out in Dryden is a great example, because they have been pushing the envelope a little bit about what can be done on these solar agrivoltaic sites. I'll also just mention that that I've been working on a project with a group of farmers and the solar company Lydian for Yellow Barn, that is looking at diversified cooperative farming on a portion of that site.
Great.
And that would include, you know, that the idea there is both to bring in Cornell research and to bring in, you know, beginning and lower income farmers onto a space where they're working cooperatively to explore and expand the opportunities available on these agrivoltaic sites. And
Second, thanks for getting feedback regarding the biosolids that we were looking at, you know, here in the county. I'm sorry we weren't able to do a local ban, that it just didn't work out, that we were had the legal authority to do. But thanks for wrangling folks to get input, you know, and presenting information to them.
Oh, you're welcome.
And then two other things. So one is a question. Do you have any, because I was, it was on the CASE board, the Climate and Sustainable Energy Board, there's someone who's a grape grower, and just the topic came up. Are there any folks, any members of the Ag and Farmland Board who are grape growers?
No, there are not currently.
Okay, so possibly that's, I wonder if we could get some folks on there. And then the last question I had was, have you heard anything regarding Cornell being mandated to give or to use or put $30 million towards agriculture endeavors, and have you heard any details about that?
I do not have any details on that, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Outside of the scope of what I work on.
Well, I hope that, there's some overlap, with the great work you do. Any
Great, thank you.
other questions or comments for Crystal? I used to attend the board 7, 8 years ago, so I know you guys do a lot of work in addition to seeing your great presentation here. So I appreciate that. I think this is very enlightening for all of us. Your presentation and John Negley's and Jan's to really highlight all the work that you guys are doing, on a day-to-day basis throughout the year. So I appreciate it. And could you send us that presentation so we can have that? I wasn't expecting something so thorough. So thank you so much. And anything else for us, Crystal?
Nope, that's it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Crystal. And then I'll just see if there's any other member reports, any committee member reports, or any last comments, issues before we end for the year. Greg, and then Veronica.
Yeah, I guess, Ann, I'll jump on the expression of gratitude train. I have been on this committee under your leadership in various names over my entire tenure here at the legislature so far. It probably would not have been a committee that I picked right off the bat, but it's a committee that has really taught me a lot and challenged me in the way that I think, and has had me think about new things and think about things differently. So I really appreciate you for bringing many of these issues to the forefront and staying after them. And I know that your advocacy will be a loss to the legislature, but we have some big and loud shoes coming in to backfill, looking at you, Irene, to backfill that voice and that space here at the legislature, among many others coming in. It won't be the same without you. I've sat next to you for 4 years and have enjoyed all of your trinkets, as I am a trinket collector myself. Your oddities that you always are pulling out of the drawer at one point of a meeting or another, but also just your sort of stewardship of this process and always remaining committed to our environment, our people, and most importantly, our county. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. I think all of us make a big difference, for this committee. I know a lot of folks, as you said, so thank you for saying that, especially for someone coming in, you're not sure, if this is in your wheelhouse or in your interest. But I think over the years, people have said, well, once you start learning, about, whether it's the built environment or the natural, we get a lot about the natural environment and how we interface with this. And I hope people do find it interesting and valuable and important, once you see it. This is a lot about protecting our natural area, which I think draws a lot of, unless you were, which some people, are from here, but if you're not from here, that's certainly what drew people here, and even if you are from here, it's what you love about this area. So I think it's an important committee in that respect. So thank you. Thank you for your hard work, in this committee and your support and everybody helping ask those important questions. Veronica?
I was just going to express my gratitude and appreciation to you as well, Annie. Probably not as eloquently as Greg, so I'll just second most of that. I didn't get on this committee until, 3 years ago, but I have gotten to sit next to you for 4 years. Don't know if everyone knows that Annie sometimes shares snacks with her seatmates, which is appreciated. But also, it's been a privilege to get to be vice chair of this committee with you specifically for the last 3 years. Years are difficult. But yeah, I've learned a lot about how you run a committee. I mean, we all see in the public meetings, but just the way, the agenda preparation meetings we have and the way you think about and plan out how to structure a meeting, how to work with our amazing clerks. So thank you, Taylor, also, but you're not going anywhere as far as I know. So, yeah, it's been very valuable, and I hope that I can, implement these lessons however, wherever in the next term.
Well, thank you both for your kind words. And it's been an absolute pleasure and an honor, to have done this work. And I know a lot of us feel that same way. And so I want to say especially to Rich and Amanda, going on, I hope that you enjoy the next adventures in your life. And we symbolically pass the baton to Greg and Veronica and those other folks who will be working on these important issues. Anything else?
Thanks, Ann.
All right, well, thanks. We are adjourned, and that ends the peak meetings for 2025, we'll call it. Thank you, everybody who came today, too.